Good afternoon and welcome to the Grand Prairie City Council meeting for Monday, August 12th, 2019. I'd ask everyone in attendance to rise and join us in singing O Canada.
Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all of us command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. O Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you to the National Film Board for the images of our country and to our very own Grand Prairie Boys Choir alumni for the audio. We'll move into the adoption of our previous council meeting minutes. Can I get a motion for those minutes from way back in July? Councillor Minhas.
Thank you, Mayor Will Given. I'll move the council adopt the minutes of City Council held on Monday, July 15, 2019 as presented.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Minhas. Is there any discussion or debate on those minutes? Are there any things that we need to correct or tidy up before we adopt them? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries, and that'll take us to the adoption of the agenda. Can I get a motion to adopt the agenda? Councillor Blackburn.
Thank you. I'd move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Blackburn. Any discussion or debate on the agenda as presented? Again, seeing none, I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. This brings us to the delegation portion of our agenda. Since we've moved to our new council system of having a bit of a recess in the middle of our council agenda, we actually have two opportunities for the public to present. So this is the first of those two opportunities. And if there's anybody here this afternoon that wished to present to council or speak to council, now would be your opportunity before we move into our agenda. We typically allow people about 5 minutes of presentation time. And of course, that's just one of the ways people can get a hold of City Council. Contact information for all council members is up on the city website. And of course, we also are here at City Hall. I don't see anybody moving forward to come and present. Sure, sir, come on down. I'll just ask you to introduce yourself so we can get your name in the minutes and anybody watching knows who they're speaking to. And please have a seat and be welcome. Welcome.
My name's Cameron Murray. I'm kind of with some friends here. We are camping outside of a Rotary. We have had enough of bylaw coming and taking our stuff every day. Last time they were over there, they took everything. My understanding was we could go to the old police station years ago and get our stuff back. It's not happening anymore. It's going to the city dump. I know there is plans in the works for the day program to reopen. I know that because I work with Jared at the St. Lawrence Center. That's a Band-Aid solution. When City Council and City of Grande Prairie are going to start building affordable housing? Last year, there was 4 people housed the entire winter from the MAP program. The MAP program was sleeping anywhere from 100 to 105 people at night. The province stepped in and shut us down. Like, enough's enough. Like, the city's got to do something. We are planning a protest tomorrow in front of the City Hall. We got to do something. And as you guys are putting us in a situation where we're going to start making it public. We're going to go national if we have to. There's people over there who have absolutely nothing besides what's in a pack sack, what was taken from them. Some guys have lost all their ID. It took them 6 months to get their ID. One guy, we had to go to the army to find his ID. And he has no ID again. Like, he's back to square one. And he looked at me and says, Cam, if I have to, I'll kick someone's door in and have a warm place to sleep. I said, don't do that. Just give me some time. Let me work with this. Like, these are my friends. Like, I've known these guys for years. There's got to be something besides banning solutions. There's got to be another solution to this. Like Rotary House is only allowed to sleep 36 people a night, and the MAP program, where's everybody else going to go? Like, are we going to find dead people in Muscatine Park in tents this winter? Like, I know this is not just at Rotary sleeping. I know like there's 20 people in Muscatine Park sleeping in tents, and I know another 10 just outside of the city sleeping in tents. They're scared of bylaw. They're scared they're going to lose everything they own. Like, I don't. It's a problem all across. The plan to end homelessness that came out 10 years ago isn't working in Northern Canada anywhere. And I know that. Like, the affordable housing doesn't exist here. It doesn't exist in Fort McMurray or High Level or anywhere. So I don't want the answers anymore. Like, I got to go back to these my friends and tell them something. That there is a plans in place for these guys to go somewhere, and half of them, they're getting frustrated and they're going to start doing crime, like major crime, to survive. And I know a couple they're stealing people's pop cans, for Christ's sake, from their backyards, just to have something to eat. And I'm asking them not to do it, but I can't control everybody's lives. So is there a plan in place for affordable housing coming up in the city?
Well, I guess I appreciate you being here, first off, this afternoon. And I'm really happy to see you engaging with council. I guess I would probably say that the range of different services that are available are pretty varied. And I would imagine that you're familiar with some of them in terms of being able to get food to eat. And I would be curious if you know of anybody that's actually engaged with some of the housing supports that are available in the community, like the Housing First program.
The Housing First program hasn't housed anybody in the last 8 months. There is no affordable. You can't. Somebody in social services right now cannot afford a place to live on their own. Like, it's impossible. Social services only gives a single male $587 a month. You can't afford that. You can't even afford a hotel room for that in Northern Alberta or Northern Canada, anywhere.
Sure. Yeah, so there are a really wide range of services that are available. Probably the best way to make sure that your friends and yourself are aware of all those services and about what's going on is probably not here. I'm not sure the council is equipped to have all that information. I know that Mr. Manuel, our Director of Emergency and Social Services, would have more information, but I'm not sure that we'd be able to give it all in this forum here tonight. I think I see Mr. Manuel in the queue here to speak. Chris?
Thank you very much. So I would actually really like to speak with you. So maybe when you're done here, I'll connect with you in the hallway quickly, because I am looking for some different perspectives on what's going on in the community. Certainly I hear from the agencies and our internal departments a fair bit, but I'd like to have a conversation because we do have some things in mind to move forward and see where some of these barriers are. So if we can have a chat when we're done here, I'll connect with you.
Okay. Yeah, and I guess further to that, I would just, for what it's worth, this council has focused quite a bit on ensuring that we have a system available to be able to develop new affordable housing. Municipalities don't typically have dollars to do that. It has historically been a provincial and federal responsibility. In spite of that, our council has said that we want to be involved and we need to figure out a way, and we're actively developing the tools, and at least a part of that is to identify what the future need for housing would be. And I appreciate the fact that there is a current need for housing that's desperately needed, and that isn't lost on, I think, any member of council. And we're trying to figure out how we can use the tools that we have to make the biggest impact.
Is there emergency place? Like, with Rotary House, if they're full this winter in the MAP program, it's only 36 people. Is there emergency place for the rest of these people to go this winter?
I think that's, I'm aware that administration has been working with a number of different organizations and agencies to establish plans for that. And I think that's something that Mr. Manuel could probably update you on off to the side. I would also just sort of observe that about this time last year is when we noticed a really significant increase in the number of people at Rotary House. And so that's a part of the question I think that we've all been struggling with is what happened between summer of 2018 and now to bring so many new people to Grande Prairie that weren't there the winter before. Pardon me?
The economy went to crap.
Yeah. Well, it actually seemed to be at a time where the economy was picking up in Grande Prairie. But in any case, that's the kind of information that council is aware of. We know that there are more people in Grande Prairie seeking services and seeking shelter. And that's why we've asked our administration to work with all the different agencies that are involved. And I think Mr. Manuel can give you some updates on that.
Thank you.
Thanks very much for coming here this afternoon. Is there anybody else that wished to make a presentation to council? I don't see anybody else coming forward. And so, as I mentioned, we do have another opportunity after the break, after our recess and our first committee business portion of our agenda. So we'll close the delegation portion and move on. I don't think we have any items of unfinished business or any reports, and so that takes us straight to the committee business section. And I think it's the Councillor O'Toole show for the first couple of agenda items. Councillor O'Toole.
Thank you very much, Mayor Given. Yes, it was a very interesting day. I had about 4 hours sleep before I attended the meeting. So I want to thank the administration for helping me through and making sure we got the votes in and the motions made. I'd like to move that the council approve the minutes of the Infrastructure and Protective Services Committee meeting held on Tuesday, August 6, 2019 as presented.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Any errors or omissions? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor O'Toole, anything you want to highlight in that set of minutes?
Just to speak a little bit, we had Mr. Brian Glavin, Economic Development Director, and Chris Manuel, a Protective Services Social Director, give a director's area update, talked about the energy and environment. The geophysical study of the former landfill has been completed, and the first series of groundwater monitoring has been completed on the snow dump and the former landfill location. And this can now be done completed in-house. We had some discussion on engineering services and the ongoing construction of 104th Avenue and Ivy Lake, 110th Avenue and Mount View, 108th Street and 84th Avenue, and upcoming work including the Canfor ditch upgrades, which is on 88th Avenue, and some of the railroad crossing improvements. Transportation, there's a gravel haul project is almost complete. Dust control application will take place, weather permitting. And other stuff that we can talk about is the Municipal Policing Assistance Grant and Police Officer Grant. That was a correspondence, and you mentioned that you spoke on it, Mayor Given, and regarding that we will probably lose some of the funding in the future years. It's once again, it's we haven't really got a positive answer on this, but we were suggested that to expect not the full amount that we have been getting lately, or in the last little while. We had a verbal update on the Parkside Inn, and the outstanding items list, we knocked a couple items off that. So thank you very much.
Great. Thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. And you're not off the hook, I guess. Item 8.2, the Corporate Services Committee meeting. I think that was your one that you were our regular chair.
Yes. So the August 6th meeting, I just got to make sure. I would like council to approve the minutes of the Corporate Services Committee meeting held Tuesday, August 6th, 2019 as presented.
Okay. Thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. Any errors or omissions in that set of minutes before we formally adopt them? And nobody ringing in. I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor O'Toole.
I have one motion. Council approved the following. One, that the properties subject to the 2018 tax recovery notification as per the attached list will be offered for sale by public auction. And two, that the auction be held in the first floor North Conference Room at City Hall on Friday, November 29th, 2019 at 9 a.m. And the third, that the reserve bids for the 2019 tax sale be set as per the attached Appendix D.
Thanks very much, Councillor O'Toole. Any discussion or debate on the motion?
I can just discuss a little bit if you don't mind. The numbers this year are a little higher than they have been in the past, but I know that the taxation department is working with the owners, the bankers, and that sort of stuff to see if we can alleviate that, and they are working very diligently to make that happen.
Okay, thanks, Councillor O'Toole. I don't see anybody in the queue for discussion or debate, so I will call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor O'Toole.
So item 8.2.2 is the council discretionary spending. Recommendation is the council receive the procedure 100.1 guidelines to council event attendance for information.
Thanks, Councillor O'Toole. My memory is from committee, there were a couple of revisions that were recommended, and I think they're reflected in the procedure that's in front of us this afternoon. Any discussion or debate? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor O'Toole, anything else to highlight from that Corporate Services Committee meeting?
I think I've said enough, and we'll move on, I guess.
Okay. We'll hand it over to Councillor Palat for the Community Living Committee meeting. Councillor Palat.
Thanks, Mayor Given. I had the opportunity with Councillor Thiessen Way to step up and be involved with this one. It was a pretty light agenda, but I'll give some highlights of some of the Director Service updates. The Coca-Cola Nursing Center, the annual aquatic maintenance shutdown is scheduled as follows. August 24th to 27th, there'll be a complete shutdown of the pool. August 28th to the September 13th, only the 50-meter pool will be accessible. Is regarding events and entertainment, the negotiations have been finalized with a new food and beverage partner for the Montrose Coffee Bar and Teresa Sargent Catering. The new partner is expected to begin operating September 1st. There's been a lot of conversation with this council about our street sweeping. So there was another update that 2 out of the 4 street sweepers are being running on a new style of rear broom, which allows a broom changeover to be done by the operator rather than by a mechanic. And this is in efforts to decrease the downtime experienced by the transportation services and hopefully get a higher utilization rate on our equipment. So that was good news. And the transit services have been impacted by minor detours for routes 4, 5, and 6 due to ongoing road construction. This has been hasn't caused any impact due to ridership. And the service route changes on 5, 6, and 7 will take place on August 19th. And I believe that's that. So I will make a motion that council approve the minutes of the community living meeting held Tuesday, August 6th as presented.
Okay, thanks very much, Councillor Plott. Any discussion or debate on that set of minutes? Seeing none, please vote. Thank you. That motion carries. Councillor Plott, you have one motion, and when it comes to that motion, I do have a name to recommend to council.
Yeah. So there was only Mayor Gibb and myself present, so he got to make a motion to say that he should recommend council appoint a representative of the regional school site committee as a mayor's recommendation. I'm not sure who.
And so my recommendation would be Councillor Bressie. He attended that first meeting on council's behalf and has been involved in the issue so far. And so I had checked with Councillor Bressie, and he's willing to accept that appointment. So.
All right.
So is there any discussion or debate on that motion as recommended? Seeing none, then I'll call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. And that motion carries. Councillor Plott, anything else to highlight from that set of minutes?
Only other than I didn't have my quote of the day, as Councillor Thiessen usually does. So other than that, it was a normal corporate service or community living meeting. Thanks.
Great. Thanks very much, Councillor Plott. I don't believe we have any other agenda items from committee. I don't believe we had any items of correspondence this afternoon. And perhaps we could have a motion to receive the delegation presentation for information. I would sort of acknowledge that Director Manuel is still discussing with our delegation, and so hopefully they're sharing information and connecting. I see Councillor Bressie is the first in the queue that lit up pretty quickly when I asked for that motion. Councillor Bressie.
Great, thank you, Mayor Given. I'm actually going to try a slightly different motion than just receiving for information. That was, I would move that administration provide an oral report on encampments around Rotary House at the next appropriate standing committee. And just the reason for this is, I'm being really specific, I want an oral report. I don't necessarily want a lot of work going into this, but I'd like to have a bit more of a conversation about this. I know that last November we received a similar report, but circumstances have changed significantly in our community since then, and I'd like to know if there's been a different approach taken since we last heard this, and I'd like to get an idea of what kind of resources is being put in now versus 9 months ago when Rotary House didn't have the changes imposed on it by the province that it's currently experiencing.
Okay, thanks very much. That motion's in order. It's specific. Lets administration know that there isn't the expectation of a printed report, but an update to council at the next appropriate standing committee. Sure. Councillor Thiessen.
Yeah, thank you very much, Mayor Given. I'm going to wholeheartedly support Councillor Bressy's motion. Part of the reason why I think I want to hear from our administration too is I think back when we were having conversations about breaking up encampments in and around the city, we were told specifically that bylaw doesn't take care of people's personal belongings, their IDs and stuff like that, and that's held for them. I just want to make sure that that's still the common practice, because we heard a differing side of things here from our delegation today. So I would really appreciate hearing from administration and how they go about if they are breaking up those encampments and potentially losing people's ID that they work so hard to get for a couple months. What are the steps and processes that they're doing to make sure that those people get their ID and other important belongings back to them. So I'll support this 100%.
Thanks, Councillor Thiessen. I don't see anybody else in the queue. And since there isn't, I will call for the vote. Please vote. Thank you. That motion carries as well. That deals with our delegation business. I don't believe we had any notices of motion this afternoon. I have to get used to saying afternoon. I don't think we had any notices of motion this afternoon. And that being the case, then we will recess from our committee business portion of our council agenda. We will return for public hearing business and another opportunity for delegations this evening at 6 p.m. We are in recess.